pledges allegiance to the flag. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Post colors.
Helga, red out, base. Forward, march.
Please join us in a moment of silence as we reflect on those serving the United States Armed Forces, both past and present, the elected leaders of the state of Pennsylvania, and elected leaders of our nation. We have much to be thankful for in our community. Thank you. Please be seated. Executive sessions. There was an executive session on Monday, March 26, 2012 at 8:30 to discuss the superintendent search. Tuesday, April 10, 2012 at 7:30 p.m. to discuss the superintendent search. Monday, April 16, 2012 at 6 p.m. to discuss legal matters. Saturday, April 21, 2012 at 8 p.m. to discuss the superintendent search. Acting Superintendent's Report, Dr. Soder.
Good evening. We have a number of student recognitions tonight, and before we get started, I'd like to remind everyone that when your name is called, please come forward, be recognized, and then you can return to your seat. And at the end of our report, we'll be asking all of you to go over to the library and have your picture taken. So I'm going to turn things over to Dr. Bell, and she's going to start off our student recognitions this evening.
Good evening. And we're going to ask all of our Ojrsd and Line coaches and our principals to come to the front. It's a special evening for us. We are proud to say to you as our public that we had 7 Ojrsd Roberts School District Ojrsd and Line teams compete this year at the state level. And it's a long-standing tradition in our school district for the quality of work that our students are able to accomplish, and we recognize them not only for their individual success, but in this case, their success as a group and as a team. We also want to say congratulations to our coaches that are with us this evening. At the state competition in Mount Pocono, 4 of our teams scored a first or second place, which then allows them to move on to the World Finals, which will be in the state of Iowa, in Ames at Iowa State University, May 23rd through May 27th. So we're not finished yet. But for tonight, we want to recognize all of our students who participated thus far, because it really is quite an accomplishment. So we're going to start with Mr. Oswald from East Coventry and his coach, Rose Bay, to recognize our East Coventry students.
Good evening. Thank you, Dr. Bell. At this time, it gives me great pleasure to introduce to you the East Coventry Ojrsd Line team. When I call your name, students, would you please come up for your certificate? Our first student is Shavari Apti, Abby Arch, Michelle Frank, Kennedy Kohler, Haley O'Donnell, Ryan Sayers, and last but not least, Emma Venanzi. Again, this is your East Coventry
and tell you some additional honors for this group.
I get to be the handshake guy too, right? I know as you hear a lot of the names, some of the kids won't be here. Being smart isn't as easy as it seems, and so a lot of these kids are off doing other things. And then when we get to the high school team, a lot of them are in the DECA competition in Utah, but you can still clap. Okay, here's the East Benson team: Casey Fitch, Gretchen Harkin, Beckett Hauk, Hannah Pugh, Gabby Tamboro, Kyle Waldorf. This is almost like cheating. You guys are way too smart. And I got Casey Walker, too. That is the East Benson.
While we have the students here, in honor of Mr. Polachek and this group of students, just want to recognize also that the East Benson team did earn a first place. So they are the Pennsylvania state champions for elementary in their division. And it's always a little hard for them because we're fortunate that we have this long-standing tradition. They are the 10th team from East Benson to be awarded the state championship crown, and they are the 14th consecutive team from East Benson to attend World. So again, we have high praise for you. And Dr. Saladino is going to introduce his middle school.
Good evening, everyone. It's my pleasure this evening to recognize our 3 teams from the middle school. We are very fortunate to be able to build on a great tradition and program that has started at the elementary level. And we do have those 3 teams, so we actually have 3 coaches, Mr. Polachek, Ms. Janda, and Ms. Vey, who are going to call up the students, introduce them, and award them their certificates. At the middle school level, because the competition for middle school is 6 through 8, we have students who are currently attending some of our elementary schools that are also participating on these middle school teams, so it is a 6 through 8 team for the middle school. So, Ms. Vey, we'll start with you.
Okay, I'd like to congratulate, unfortunately, my middle school team is not here. They're all being wonderful somewhere else tonight. But very proud of Eva Bowe, Caroline Hall, Petra Hester, Sarah Fisher, Tim LaGreca, Jordan Roche, and Julie McLaughlin.
Another fine group of human beings, starting with Sydney Baker, Ethan Conway, Liam Conway, Liza Fitch, George Collin, Danielle Wood, and Ben Yankelaitis. You can go ahead and clap for those.
And the third middle school team, Morgan Ager, Kelsey Groves, Jacob Buckholder, Simon Crew, Eric McKay, Sienna McLaughlin,
Trevor Metzger.
We have two high school teams to introduce to you as well. Both are moving on to compete in World Finals in hopes of bringing back a total, hopefully, because this would be the fourth World Championship that ONJ Roberts has won, if we can get when they come back this year. First 7 team members are Mackenzie Grelia, Stephen Dallas, Cassidy Hart, Madison Matarazzo, Zach Matarazzo, Caroline Raddick, and Colin Sager. So all clap collectively for Madison.
High school team, Madison Aker, Christopher Bose, Kelsey Bright, Kevin Bouquet, Caitlin McLaughlin, Melissa Ott, Michaela Shaw, Dear for high school.
Thank you. At this time, we'd just like to pay a tribute to one of those amongst us. As principals, we want to thank all of our coaches because it's certainly, there's a lot of credibility in what they do. I don't know if you've ever read the book Organizing Genius by Warren Bennis, but they actually take the quote from the book and they are able to take students and make them in a group and have them become more than they can become of themselves. And that's what obviously the line is all about, the team effort. Tonight, we would like to recognize Mr. Polocek. It's a special year for him. This is, he won't be happy about this, but that's okay. Chris Polocek is probably the calmest individual I've ever met. Nothing is pressure to him. OM is a challenge. It's a positive challenge. I think that our teams excel because he has all the faith in the world of the students. He takes no credit for what he does. He works with these students. He challenges them to be their best every day, and he gets those results with them and for them. I tease him that I think there's a dictionary out there that has the word humble, his picture is next to it, because he's always crediting the students, their parents, and the rest of the staff. Tonight, I'd like to take just this small amount of time to recognize Chris for 20 years of service, and I've talked about the teams and the records that he has produced, and works with students at the elementary, the middle school, and the high school level, coaches them all at East Vincent, loves every minute of it. And I can't tell you that as a principal of that building, and I know that Bob and Rich feel the same way, we certainly appreciate Chris all that you do for the students.
Good evening. About 2 months ago, a group of students, teachers came to me and they asked if they could do yet another community service initiative. There are a lot going on in the school at the same time. And they asked if they could compete in the Fill Abundance Food Drive. And like many of these initiatives, I said, yup, whatever you guys need, let me know. How can I help? And we had the good fortune to have excellent leadership. Mrs. Smith, Mrs. Stuffelfinger, and our chair, sophomore Jessica Bonanti, who is also in our student government. She chaired the committee for the student council. And they got businesses, communities, families, elementary students, all to bring in. And I think we reached 22 tons of food. 22,000 pounds, 22,000 pounds. And one small story related to this. I was doing my best, sending out the sky alerts, asking people to bring canned food in, food drive, etc. And Dr. Early, our assistant principal, comes up to the office and he said, "Did you see the signs they're painting down at the art wing for the food drive?" And I said, "No." "Did you approve those signs?" "No. They're going to be hanging in the cafeteria." He seemed very, very concerned. And he said, "You better go look." And I went down and in 20 feet long, food fight was written out in the cafeteria. And so the students agreed that maybe we should change it to, what was the wording there? Great Food Race. And that was the trick. That made it. So I'd like to introduce Mrs. Smith, Jessica, Mrs. Stuffelfinger, the students that are here, and I think you have a presentation tonight. Come on up.
Everybody. Hi, so I'm Jessica Bonanti, as I said before. I'm a sophomore, and I'm here to briefly explain what this food fight is all about. So here are some statistics that I have about hunger in America, which is some things that I showed to the students when I said, hey, let's get involved in this. 1 in 6 Americans struggle with the reality of hunger. In 2010, 17.2 million households in America had difficulty providing enough food due to lack of resources, and in 2010, 5.7 million people per week received emergency food assistance, which is a 27% increase since 2006. So what is the food fight? It's obviously not a legit food fight. The food fight is an annual food drive that helps thousands of families in the Delaware Valley who are in need. All canned goods benefit Fill Abundance, which is the region's largest national hunger relief organization, and it is all the food collected goes directly to Fill Abundance. So to get OJ involved, we had a 2-week collection period, which was February 15th to March 2nd, where the students brought in goods, and 3 schools that participated were the high school, North Coventry, and Westminster. So how did we get everyone involved? Thank you, Dr. Soder, for sewing our super can costume, and Mrs. Chevelle, she designed that. We have a picture up there of the can costume. Got everybody really pumped up. We visited all of the participating schools, and in the high school we had a homebrew competition, which kind of got everybody involved. So on April 19th, we had a press conference at Fill Abundance, where we were invited, we were announced that we were award winners, but we had no idea what we were winning going into it. So we were really excited that we won the grand prize, which was $10,000, which was really exciting. It was our first year. We weren't expecting such a great turnout. So again, we raised 11 tons of food, which was 22,000 pounds. And finally, just want to give a special thanks to all of these people above, especially one of the Dunmiller Construction. They immediately put our total amount of cans over the limit. We're really thankful to have them. And I want to thank Ms. Smith, Ms. Stuffelfinger, Chris Everett, and the rest of the Gillespie who are here tonight. I couldn't have done it without them. So thank you all so much.
When they came back with the grand prize, one of the questions people had is, what are you going to do with the money? And I was so impressed, so touched that the first thing they thought was to donate some of that money back to our own North Coventry Food Pantry. So it
We do want to take time tonight to recognize some of our faculty. This is the time of year when we learn about the Citadel Heart of Learning Award, and this is an award that Citadel Bank partners with the Chester County Intermediate Unit, and we would like to recognize those teachers who were nominated, as well as take a moment and recognize this year's O&J Roberts finalist, Dr. Del Furster. So if you want to come on here to Del will be joining finalists from each of the Chester County School Districts at a banquet next week. And one of those finalists will be selected and win $1,500. So congratulations, Del. We're very proud of you. And we want to take a moment and acknowledge those other nominees from our school district. And I know some of them are here, and I hope they're not too shy, so I'd like them to come up. From East Coventry, Mary Rita Bonner, Kevin Houston, and Brad Lamson. East Vincent, Ginger Flacco, Chris Clocher, which this is getting interesting right now, and Taglieri and Pat Utley. From French Creek, Amanda Martin. From North Coventry, Susan Bittler, Kathleen Coyle, and Tom Steinberg. From West Vincent, Kim Geary, Elaine Kindle, and Dan Mack. From the middle school, Stacia Bickle, Rachel Brown, Matt Charlton, Beth Charlotte Kohler. Noah Pickler, Justin Jones, Colleen Hampton, Jason Hess, Jillian Musari, and Lisa Levon. From the high school, Luke Hardy, Del Furster, Cindy Gazicki, Dawn Lambert, Jim Hunter, Mark Lieberson, Jeremy Mallon, and Dave Schmidt. We also want to say congratulations tonight to Mrs. Crumrine and the business office staff. This is the 17th consecutive year that the district has received the ASBO's International Meritorious Budget Award. Congratulations. We would like to mention also that May 8th is Teacher Appreciation Day and May 9th is Nurses Day. The board will have an opportunity later tonight to acknowledge those 2 days. And lastly, I would like to turn things over to Kayla Oliver, who is the Student Government Secretary, and she has the high school student report this month.
Thank you, Dr. Sugar. Hi, my name is Kayla Oliver. I am the current Student Government Secretary, and I am next year's president-elect. From North Coventry, on April 12th, 65 students, parents, and their siblings have been meeting under the stars in North Coventry. Six astronomers from the Chestnut Astronomy Poles Society set up their telescopes in order to map the species Saturn, Jupiter, Venus, Mars, Blair, and Orion Nebula. When the children asked to do something else, the astronomers reprogrammed the telescopes, and the children learned about the Adron and the ocean. Other presentations dealt with the sun, telescopes, and exploding stars. There are also models of nebula and stars on hand as well. All of our elementary schools hosted kindergarten raffle this month where it get either incoming kindergarten students in the hand. This is always a joyful activity. The high school band recently returned from Florida where they were the featured bands in the Magic Kingdom Electric Light Parade on April 5th, in which they performed and represented OJR in front of approximately 30,000 spectators. The band's annual spring concert will be held on Thursday, May 10th at 7 p.m. in the high school auditorium. One feature of the concert this year will be the premiere of a brand new piece of music conducted by Alan Taylor, a temporary band member. The high school jazz band has been invited to be the live band entertainment at the Swing Cat Club in Pottstown on Friday, May 26th. The Gage Street Alliance organized the observance of the Day of Silence on April 20th. The 84 high school students signed up ahead of time for the procedure. The Wildcat ambassadors have been busy giving tours to prospective students who participated in the Walk to benefit the Best Studies program. It is scheduled to visit the middle school to talk with 8th graders on May 18th. In March, Ojrsd radio production students submitted 30 short films to the Springfield Youth Film Festival. On May 1st, Mr. Sonical, along with 80 students and parents, will attend the Oscar-style award ceremony at the Keswick Theater. Ojrsd is among 25 schools from around the area competing in the event that has over 200 billion entries. Industry professionals and university professors are among the judges and presenters for this event. In addition to the Springfield Youth Film Festival, 5 Ojrsd filmmaking teams participated in a 2,500 digital video competition which took place in Reading, PA from April 12th to April 15th. The 4,500 BBC challenged teams to write, direct, shoot, and edit their films in less than 4 days. The teams submitted their films and they can now be viewed in the Reading Movies 11th and IMAX theaters on May 2nd at 6 p.m. and May 5th at 10 a.m. The films are currently in the process of being judged. The 4,500 BBC Awards night will be held Saturday, May 13th at the Reading Area Community College Miller Center for the Performing Arts. The 8th annual Ojrsd High School Student Film Festival will take place on Wednesday, May 23rd at 7 p.m. in the high school auditorium. Tickets will be sold in advance during lunches and by radio production of students for $3 beginning in May. Tickets can also be purchased at the door for $5. Proceeds from the film festival help provide a $500 scholarship. The scholarship is presented to an Ojrsd senior video production student that has been in the program a minimum of 3 years, has been instrumental to the video production program, and plans on attending a 4-year college to study film and media arts or broadcast journalism. The crew has more than doubled their participants from last year. The 45 members of the Ojrsd crew team have raced each weekend since Sunday, May 24th. March 24th. In each regatta, both the boys and girls teams have finished very strong, and with most major victories. Ojrsd has been resourceful from more established crews such as Conestoga, Radnor, and Marion Club, and also many of the Philadelphia Tigers. Notable victories were earned this past weekend at the Cooper Cup in New Jersey of 2003. Arnada's girls is first in their team. Ojrsd also raced a double for the first time ever in a race and finished second overall in almost 20. The biggest races are yet to come as well. This Sunday, May 6th, are the city championships. Sunday, May 13th is the Dr. White Regatta, which Ojrsd has a shot to win outright. Finally, May 18th is the Stoke Tribute Regatta, in which we are expecting to have 2 boats advance to the final 6 boats among hundreds of other rowers from across the Mid-Atlantic. Any of the next 3 Sundays, please come to Schuylkill River on Kelly Drive. Join us at Ojrsd Cruising and cheer on the crew. Thank you.
And at this time, I would like to introduce Dr. Joseph O'Brien, the Executive Director of the Chester County Intermediate Unit, and he has an introduction for all of us.
Thank you, Dr. Sitter. I'm going to try to do this without a microphone, and so that I can speak to everybody. I'm going to try to get over here. I'm here tonight with the honor and pleasure of introducing your new superintendent to you. His name is Dr. Mike Christian. We'll meet him in a minute. He'll have a few words to say, but I want to begin by telling you a little bit about the process, and I'll do it in a way of a thank you to save some time. So I need to tell you that I've done maybe a dozen of these searches in the last several years, and it was an honor to work with this Ojrsd Roberts School Board and with their administrative team. It really was, okay? We set out for a rather ambitious process. If you check the timeline, we were hoping to hit the date of April 30th to a point, and we did. There were some A little angst at the end as to whether we were going to make it or have a special meeting in May, but we pushed through it and we made that. That's because this board committed a lot of time. I heard President Will read to you earlier all the executive sessions where they couldn't help smiling. Many of them were about the superintendent search. Saturday morning, Saturday night, this night, that night. Lots of extra time above and beyond to get it done. Also, thank you, OJ, our administrative team. They were my voice to the district. Anytime we asked for anything, they delivered. It was a pleasure. And I have to tell you this, because the school district is all about the students, and one of the things that we do in our focus group is take input from the students. One of the very best student groups I've ever met. I was sitting here tonight smiling and looking at Dr. Christian saying, well, now I see why. But they were great to work with. They gave excellent input. The students of OJR were some of the finest I've ever worked with, and it was an honor to work with them. I also met some incredibly involved members of the OJR community, parent groups, PTAs, et cetera, in the process. Lots of people sent emails and phone calls and weighed in. Some people couldn't make the community focus groups we had, but then they took advantage of alternative things, turned in a survey, contacted my office directly, or used the OJR Superintendent Search website. It was also an honor to work with your support staff, your teachers, your principals, all the central office positions. And we did that because your board really wanted input from as many parts of the community as they could get. And I think it was very meaningful input. If you remember, if you attended some of those focus groups, we talked about 4 key questions. What are the qualities of a superior leader? What are the strengths and skills that will be essential for OJR's next suit? Please identify some key issues that the J. Roberts School and community is facing, and please identify obstacles that we face with student achievement, and give us any ideas you have on how to get around that. They did. We compiled that into a series of themes, and a leadership profile. That is now posted on your website. If you read it, I think you'll agree, it somewhat sounds like we were looking for Superman. I mean, because we have a lot of desirable qualities in there. Well, I tried my best to get you Superman. He's not available. But I do think we were able to get the very best superintendent in Pennsylvania, Dr. Mike Christian, who's here coming to us from Garnet Valley School District, which is a fine school district. Dr. Christian lives in the Falcon, so this is closer to his home. And I can tell you this, that one of the nice things about this partnership that emerged is that I think the board wanted Dr. Christian, and Dr. Christian wanted to be with the J. Roberts community. I've known him for years. I first met him when he was a middle school principal. I watched him as a very excellent assistant superintendent. I've worked with him over the last several years as a superintendent at Garnet Valley. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce your next superintendent, Dr. Mike Christian.
Thank you very much. First off, I want to thank the board for guiding me through this process as well. Joe was about to thank you until you threw out the Superman now. Because the reality is, seeing what I saw tonight, students being recognized, that is really what a school district is all about. It's what we're about, what I currently am, and I'm so excited to become immersed in the J. Roberts community. I'm invested in each of the schools, and really take a step back and come in and listen. Listen to the parents, listen to the teachers, listen to the administrative team, listen to the board, and most importantly, listen to the students about what's special about OJ. One of the questions I had for the board as I go through the process was what needs to be preserved in OJR. And you hear about their commitment and their sense of pride, and they share the points of pride and the culture of excellence that exists within the district. It got me excited about the opportunity to work here. So I'm certainly humbled by those comments, and I'm really looking forward to the transition process as I work to finish the school year up in my current setting. I'm going to make some visits up here out of times to really willing to be as many close as possible. So thank you to the board. Looking forward to it. Earlier tonight, Dr. Christian got his first OJR long half year.
So he's pretty excited about that too, and I think you might have seen a picture or two posted on the website.
I've already committed, I have 3 children to attend back to school this year. They will not be in green. They will be in red.
Thank you, Dr. Soder. Thank you for your leadership during the transition. You also were superb.
And this concludes our report.
Thank you, Dr. Soder. Moving on to item 5, public comment. Information, proposals, and statements from individuals or delegations pertaining to items on the agenda. Speakers are to indicate your name, township of resident, and the item on the agenda you wish to comment and address. Speakers will be limited to no more than 3 minutes.
I'm Tammy Buck from North Country. I should know that already. How many times have I done this? I wanted to speak on 13.4, which, don't panic, is retirement. I'm sure that I don't think she's there or something. I just wanted to say I was hoping that she would wait another 2 years because my son is in middle school. And I had her, and I loved her. She was my favorite teacher. No offense to Mr. Roaster, too. He was great, but Mr. Ray really helped me in English, and she made me want to write. And she inspired me to write more. Hopefully one day I'll write a novel, and I'll credit her. So I just wanted to say that I'm really sorry she's leaving us, and I hope she has a great retirement.
Try to put out the mic. You just have loud voices. First of all, the RA, Roberts Education Association, would like to thank Dr. Soder for her long, devoted, and professional service to the district. Once again, she has helped this district through another difficult situation, the transition to yet another superintendent. Next, I would like to speak to the board tonight regarding the appointment of the next superintendent in this school district. More specifically, the method by which you selected the new superintendent. This board was elected with a clear mandate by the members of this community to be more transparent about the operation of this school district. As has been stated by members of this very board, the most important job a school board can do is to hire a superintendent. Yet, with these things in mind, this board followed a selection process shrouded in silence. Mr. O'Brien of the CCIU asked various stakeholder groups in the district 4 highly generic questions. The information gathered in those questions was to be used to create a search criteria for the superintendent. However, it is suspect that the advertising of this position with a listing of specific search criteria occurred prior to the completion of these lauded focus groups. At no other time were the professionals who work with the children of this district involved in the selection of the new academic and programming leader. At no time were those professionals asked what steps needed to be taken to ensure the continued development and success of this district. The professional staff found out who would be shaping the future of the district in a Mercury News story on Friday. That was not appreciated. In this most important matter, you have failed to meet the most basic expectations. You have shown yourself to be no better than the previous board in ensuring transparency. Just because you have the right to make this appointment in this fashion does not make it the most appropriate means of shaping our future. The process has not been collaborative. The process has not been transparent. And the process has not taken into account any substantive input from the teaching professionals or the community at large. You have put the new superintendent at a disadvantage because he is not the community's choice, nor is he the teacher's choice. He is your choice. You now ask the teachers of this district to simply have confidence in your choice. After the recent history of this school district and the process you followed, that degree of confidence does not exist. However, for the sake of the children, teachers, and community as a whole, and regardless of your actions, the Roberts Education Association wishes the new superintendent well.
Moving on to item 6, committee reports. Committee of the Whole. The meeting of the Committee of the Whole was held on Monday, April 16, 2012, at 7 p.m. in the Administration Building in the boardroom. The following items were discussed: Financial Committee, Curriculum Instruction, Technology, Extracurricular, and Interscholastic Committee. 6.2, Buildings and Grounds, Mr. Hughes.
Mr. Kleinfelder, the Buildings and Grounds Committee met on April 10th. We reviewed project updates of the high school roof and the energy conservation measure project. We also listened to a list of summer projects. Importantly, I'd like to note one of them, which is the sound system evaluation and inspection of the LGI room. I'm not sure if everybody can hear me, but that'll be something we look at this summer. We also took a recommendation for architectural services from administration, and that is on tonight's agenda. And we reviewed service contracts as well. And that's all my report.
Thank you, Mr. Hughes. Chester County Intermediate Unit, Mrs. Barkas.
Chester County Intermediate Unit Board of Directors held its monthly meeting on April 18, 2012 at the Child and Career Development Center in Ojrsd. The following items were discussed and acted upon. The CCIU support staff, represented by Valerie Jenkins, generously opened their contract in order to accept the salary freeze. The support staff contract does not expire until 2015. Dr. O'Brien and the board extended their gratitude and support to the support staff and acknowledged their invaluable contribution in supporting our students. This brings the total savings to the CCIU resulting from staff salary freezes to $2.6 million, which then in turn to us as a district allows no increases this year to both budgets, which was really confusing. We had students greet us from the Life Skills program at the Child Career Development Center, and Dr. Susan McKee, the principal of the Child Career Development Center, presented an overview of the pre-vocational programs offered at this agency. If you ever have the opportunity to visit this school, it is utterly amazing what they're doing with children. These are the children that have higher needs, and they're servicing them with respect and professionalism. And as a member of the CCIU board, I was very proud to witness how much they truly love and care for their kids. Dr. O'Brien reminded everyone to save the date for the annual school board legislative breakfast on May 18th from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. And last but not least, calendar. It was decided after much discussion to draft a new calendar policy. The new policy will be written up for the first reading this May. This new policy will be effective for the 2013-2014 school year, and it was unanimously agreed that we need consistency. We will bring back the old policy with language to notify the districts 2 years in advance of any changes. So, we're good.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. O'Brien. The next CCIU Board of Directors meeting will be held on Wednesday, May 16th, 2012 at 8 a.m. at the CCIU Educational Center. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mrs. Barkas. Committee, Curriculum and Instruction Committee, Mrs. Barkas.
I have no report at this time.
6.5, Extracurricular and Interscholastic Activities Committee, Mr. Stone.
No report, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Stone. Finance, Mr. Freeze.
No report at this time, Mr. President.
Legislative and Policy, Mr. LaCalle.
Mr. President, the minutes from the March 5th legislative policy meeting are now available. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Mr. LaCalle. Personnel Committee, Mr. Freeze.
No report at this time, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Freeze. Pupil Services and Special Education Committee, Mrs. Eddinger.
And no report this time, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Eddinger. 610, Technology Committee, Mr. Hughes.
No report.
Thank you, Mr. Hughes. 611, Transportation Committee, Mr. Stone.
Yes, Mr. President, I would like to alert my board colleagues that over the last several months, we've had, I believe, 4 community residents, school district families respond to our transportation group about bus safety and bus stop safety. And our transportation team has responded back to each of those families, and most of those issues have been resolved. There might be one more outstanding. If there's a need for a transportation committee to assist, we will plan on currently sounds.
Thank you, Mr. Stone. Moving on to item 7, recommended routine matters, consent item, motion to approve consent item 7.2 through 7.14.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. McCall, second by Mr. Hughes. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Item 8.1, motion to approve consent items 8.2 through 8.5.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Lakoff, second by Mrs. Eddinger. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Item 9, board communications.
There are no board communications this morning.
Thank you, Mrs. Kramer. Item 10, board discussion.
Mr. President, I'd like to talk about my experiences at the NSBA conference that I attended this past week. I have some notes that are available online, but there are a couple of videos here. They're short, but they're so interesting. You might want to turn yourself into a position to see them. We'll be getting to them in a minute. Although I didn't specifically intend to make this conference about technology, I attended 3 outstanding sessions that made technology the big takeaway for me. The first session was the general session that featured Sal Khan of the Khan Academy. The story was inspiring and amusing at the same time. It is fair to say that the Khan Academy was started by Sal trying to help his teen niece with algebra. She didn't want to be tutored by an uncle who waited looking over her shoulder for her to get it. So Sal made a video that she could review independently, and from that sprung the thousands of videos, video lessons on math, science, and other topics that form the online Khan Academy. Some people mistakenly view the Khan Academy as a sort of cyber school that replaces the teacher in the classroom. My interpretation of the value of the tutorials presented there is that they may be used to support students struggling with a particular concept. The videos may be viewed as many times as it takes to get it, whether that is 2 times or 20. There is no time pressure or peer pressure on the student. Also, the videos are definitely not drill and kill, but interesting and approachable. I think they would be valuable as an intro to classroom instruction. For example, if tomorrow's classroom topic was a new algebra concept, the teacher could say, view the Khan Academy lesson XYZ for tomorrow's topic, and that could give the students a head start on learning the topic presented by the classroom teacher. The second tech session, and this is where my videos were coming from, was given by Meg Orliston and was described as BYOT. We've been calling it BYOD. That is to say, bring your own technology. Meg was high energy, fun, ironic, and informative, and her thesis was that students are already using a myriad of tech devices, and we should liberate their inherent creativity. We should not fear the intrusion of tech gadgets, but teach the students to use everything from iPods to desktops as learning tools. She advocated minimizing filtering software because good classroom management overcomes the pitfalls of internet access. So, for example, she said that there's only a couple of things that
that she believes you should filter out. Of course, at the top of the list is pornography. And she thinks you should filter out Twitter and Facebook, not because of content, but because they're time sinks. And you'll lose the students into the hours that they would spend on those two sites. There's an interesting channel on Twitter called Pencil Chat that gently mocks our fears of tech in the hands of students by pointing out the dangers of allowing students to use pencils. One post said, "We should not allow pencils in school because students could write any word they want to, and we can't control it." Another said, "If we allow pencils in school, students will write down test questions and give them to their friends." So the page on Meg's site about bring your own technology can be accessed. I give a link, it's available online. There's a survey there to ignore. It was just an icebreaker for the session. But she showed some amazing presentations, some by students and some by teachers. And what we have here first is a chemistry lesson done by a teacher. It's a video lesson on sugars. And can you begin that for us? I hope you enjoy this one. We sure do. Sound? Back it up. By the way, this was designed by the teacher, but I think it was collaborative. Started with Now, as you can see, this was a collaborative effort by one or several teachers and I believe some students. And what I found most interesting, besides the creativity shown here, was when the test came, the students asked if they could watch the video. Well, of course, the classroom teacher said no. And then they asked, well, would you just play the tune? Because they had absorbed the information through the music. And the music was a prompt to them to know what the answers are. There's another video here. This one, I just wanted you to see it because it was so, well, it's cute. It's a preschool teacher made this music video about cows for, I guess, urban students. But it shows the creativity that you can unleash in the classroom with your students as well as the teachers. Mr. Gallo.
Stand with the pastry press. No, that's pretty much my day is on cow. Don't mind the rain, don't care about the mud. Stand in the grass, shoot my cut is on cow. Happy black ice cream, yogurt or butter. Better get down there and pull on the udder. Yeah, I know it doesn't sound like fun, but it beats getting put on a hammer. Live on the farm, don't go very far. You can see me drive by in cars on cow. Come brown and black and white. Make a lot of noise, but I sure don't like cause I'm cow. Make my way to the farm when the evening comes. I kinda like that song the farmer hums while he's fishing hay. Sure hope he's on get some my way. Got real short hair and smooth as silk. A whole lot of people that drink my milk cause I'm cow. Now being a cow ain't all that grand, but you gotta admit, keep you close to the land cause I'm cow. Was back down, I still went down cause I'm cow.
This video reminds me, my wife is a kindergarten teacher in the city of Philadelphia, and she was, I won't give you the whole long lesson, but she was showing her urban students a picture of an orchard and pictures of apples to show you where the apples came from. And all the students said, "No, you're trying to trick us. Apples come from the Acme." So this is important for some of them. That's the end of the videos if you want to sit down again. The last session that I saw that really was terrific was given by the Teacher of the Year, Michelle Shearer. Her topic was STEM, that's science, technology, engineering, and math studies, and its value to today's students. She was a Princeton-trained chemist and started each year by telling her students they were chemists. And by the end of the year, they believed it. When she began teaching in this Maryland, I think she started in Maryland High School, she went from 3 students in AP Chemistry to 91 students. This is an urban high school. And at least one of the students was from the Career Technical High School. And people questioned why she would bring career tech people into this AP course. And she said, my problem is I've only got 1. Why are more of them in here? When she goes back to her regular teaching next year, she has 120 students signed up for AP Chemistry. And she has a very inspiring biography that can be found online, but none of the videos, none of this material. However, there's one quote that I thought was very poignant that she gave us, and it was this: her career has been the right answer to the question that she was frequently asked, why are you going to Princeton if all you're going to do is teach? And she sure showed them up. And, Mr. President, that's the end of my report.
Thank you, Mr. LaCoff. I have a statement that I'd like to read.
No, I was just going to remind the board that at the next count meeting, I'd like to have some discussion about combining pupil services and special education with curriculum. I'd just like to put that on the agenda for the count meeting.
It'd be nice to get some committees reduced.
Some what?
Some of the committees reduced or combined.
Okay.
So. The J. Robert Board of Directors is pleased to announce that it has selected Dr. Michael Christian as the next superintendent of schools for the J. Robert School District. Dr. Christian, who is the superintendent of Garnet Valley School District, is replacing Dr. Kathy Catherine Soder, who has been serving as acting superintendent. Dr. Christian will assume his duties as superintendent of the J. Roberts School District this summer. A specific date will be determined between the two schools. Dr. Christian comes to the J. Roberts School District with a variety of experience in education, including being superintendent, assistant superintendent of schools at Garnet Valley. Additionally, he has been a middle school principal and assistant high school principal at Garnet Valley. Dr. Christian began his career as a high school English teacher in the Methacton School District, where he additionally served as the athletic director. Dr. Christian received his bachelor's degree from Muhlenberg College, his master's in education from Arcadia University, his principal certificate from Penn State University, and his doctorate in educational leadership from Wilmington College. On behalf of the J. Roberts School Board, I would like to thank Dr. O'Brien and his staff at the Chester County Intermediate Unit for the efforts in conducting the superintendent search. I would also like to thank the J. Roberts administration, staff, and community members that participated in the various focus groups to develop a candidate profile. I'm excited and looking forward to working with Dr. Christian to accomplish the needs of the J. Roberts School District community as we become a highly productive team of 10. I would also like to thank Dr. Soder for her leadership as acting superintendent and her leadership as we transition into this new phase. Thank you. Any more discussion? That's it. We're not there yet. Item 11, old business, there's none. Item 12, new business. A motion to elect Dr. Michael Christian as superintendent of the J. Roberts School District.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Lecoff, second by Mr. Stone. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Welcome, Dr. Christian.
Congratulations.
Motion 13.1, motion to approve consent items 13.2 through 13.12.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Lecoff, second by Mrs. Einer. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Item 14, new business. 14.1, approval of Teacher Appreciation Day resolution.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Einer, second by Mr. Lecoff. Any discussion? Should I read it now or after? Whereas America's greatest strength has always been the education citizenry, and whereas the education citizenry is directly attributed to our system of free and universal public education that provides an educational opportunity for all students. And whereas the foundation upon which that system of public schools rests in the classroom teachers, and whereas the classroom teacher is challenged daily to reach out to every student regardless of ability, interest in learning, social or economic background, physical, mental, or emotional handicap, race, religion, creed, or ethnic origin, to provide the assistance and guidance necessary for full intellectual development. And whereas the classroom teacher is a key to the intellectual and occupational preparation of individual citizens who collectively determine the quality of life in America and in this community. And whereas the work of the classroom teacher deserves the deepest respect and admiration and the citizens of this community. Now therefore it be resolved that May 8th, 2012 be proclaimed Teacher Appreciation Day at the Ojrsd Roberts School District for the purpose of providing public recognition and appreciation for the dedication and contribution of the classroom teacher, not only in the community as a whole, but to each of us individual citizens. Adopted at the meeting of the Board of School Directors of the Ojrsd Roberts School District on this day, May 30th, April 2012. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Motion 1214, approval of policies.
So moved.
Mr. Stone? Mr. Hughes? Motion by Mr. Rakoff, second by Mr. Hughes. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Well, is this, we're on 14.2?
Correct.
Just a quick question, 606.1, the tax relief program, is that the revised Starship?
Starship,
It is the revised use of that
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Motion 1413. I'm sorry, 14.3. And next one, approval to eliminate policies.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Rakoff, second by Mrs. Enner. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Item 14.4, approval to eliminate policies and move to regulations.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Rakoff, second by Mr. Hughes. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. 14.15, approval of 2012-2013 staffing recommendations. 14.5.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Rakoff, second by Mr. Hughes. Any discussion?
I was taking a look at the hot spots and Ethan was jumping out at me with some needs, and I just wanted to confirm that we are on top of those needs and that our approval tonight will affect if some of those class sizes hit those high numbers or surpass them so that we can make new sections of that grade.
We are monitoring those numbers weekly now, and when we met on Friday, we are comfortable with the recommendation that we have for staffing at this time. And remember that we could potentially be above in some areas, below in others, so we are comfortable with our current staffing. Should we find the need to go above our current staffing from this recommendation, we would be coming back to the board for that in June.
Okay, and then my other question would be space in Easton for potentially, it looks like 3 possible new classrooms if needed. We've got available. I'd be happy to address that. I did speak with Dr. Bell regarding the hotspots because Dr. Silver said they are monitoring this very closely, and she was assuring that she would have space even if we had to cure all of the hotspots. Great, thank you.
All those say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. 14.6, approval of resolution supporting prevailing wage.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Rakoff, second by Mr. Stone. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. 14.7, approval of conference attendance.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Rakoff, second by Mrs. Barkis. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. 14.8, approval of summer employment and appointments.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. LaCoff, second by Mrs. Barkis. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. 14.9, approval of use of school facility.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. LaCoff, second by Mrs. Barkis. Any discussion?
I have a question, Mr. President.
Yes, Mr. Stone.
Ms. Carney, is this something that we do annually?
Yes, it's something we do every year for others.
So I'm much in favor of the program, and I'm much in favor of doing it without cost. But we just spent a year or so revising our facility usage policy plan, and if this is something that we do annually, I would just suggest that maybe we draft it into the plan. Maybe we can discuss it with the policy committee.
I think that's a good idea.
Just to be clear. What I've read.
All those in favor? All those
Aye.
opposed? Motion passes. 14.10, approval to grant diplomas to the members of the class of 2012.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. LaCoff, second by Mr. Stone. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. 14.11, approval of textbooks for the 2012-2013 school year.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Barkis, second by Mrs. Ettinger. Any discussion?
You know, I couldn't read any of them. They're all in foreign language.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. 14.12, approval of student activity clubs and organizations.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. LaCoff, second by Mr. Stone. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. 14.13, ratification of homebound students.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Stone, second by Mr. LaCoff. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. 14.14, approval of expulsion recommendation.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. LaCoff, second by Mr. Hughes. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. 14.15, approval to apply for wellness grant for the Pottstown Area Health and Wellness Foundation.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Mrs. Barkis, second by
Renee.
Mrs. DeLullo. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. 14.16, approval of Chester County Intermediate Unit 2012-2013 budget.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Barkis, second by Mr. LaCoff. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. 14.17, award of bids in accordance with the Chester County Intermediate Joint Purchasing Agreement.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. LaCoff, second by Mrs. Barkis. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. 14.18, award of request for proposal for architectural services.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Stone, second by Mr. Hughes. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
No.
No.
Motion passes. 7-2.
May I make an technical thing, Mr. Conklin? I have a motion to consent to, and the names are Mrs. Wilkins and Mrs. Lewis. Thank you.
1419, award a request for proposal for multiple function devices, desktop printers, and managed print services.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. McCough, second by Mr. Hughes. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. 1420, approval of professional services and our maintenance agreements.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. McCough, second by Mr. Stone. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. 1421, approval of real estate tax universal installment payment resolution.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. McCough, second by Mr. Stone. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. 15-1, public comment. Information, proposal statements, and/or questions from individuals or delegations pertaining to any item. Speakers are to indicate their name and township of residence. Speakers are limited to not more than 3 minutes.
What is the part? Sign it?
Thank you. I'm going to try to also use my teacher and principal voice and address you. I want to begin by saying I'm really sorry, the person who talked about the process. I honestly am sorry that my process was not what you wished for. Now, I want to say that first because I am genuinely sorry about that. I also want to note for the record I would disagree with the gentleman. The process has been tried and proved in previous superintendent searches here in the county and elsewhere. Confidentiality is always part of any good superintendent search. And where I really want to disagree is that the input was not regarded. It was somehow after the fact. The input from that group was very seriously taken and used in both the screening process and to develop the questions that the board used in finding their superintendent. But I don't know that I'm going to convince my colleague of that, and we could probably debate that as well. So my statement is more aimed at the community as a whole. I just want to remind you that I was honored to be trusted with the process, but with the honor comes accountability and being held responsible for it. If you are dissatisfied with the process, it was a CCIU in general process and a Joe O'Brien in particular process. It's nothing to do with the new superintendent, who simply went into the process and frankly should not be laid at the feet of the board, who turned the process to me and took my coaching basically at every step of the process. So if you have concerns with the process, they should be directed to me. What I was pleased to do as a teacher leader is that you welcomed the superintendent and wished him well, because I think it is important that you work together. I think you have one of the very best superintendents in Pennsylvania. I would ask everybody to support him. And once again, if there's issues with this process, it really should be directed to me in specific, because I'm responsible for CCIU, and then in general, my tendencies. So I'm sorry that the board had that you would hear that. I don't think you did anything except follow the process as dictated. Thank you.
Dr. O'Brien?
Yes, Mr.
Just a quick comment, or question rather. Can you explain the value of confidentiality in the process and why sometimes a lack of transparency can have the net effect of impacting the applicant pool?
Well, it strongly impacts the applicant pool because superintendents are very visible positions. So as soon as you start to become a shopper, start to look around, you hurt yourself as a superintendent in your existing community, and you don't wish to risk that. A confidential process allows people to come into the process to see if it's a good fit. We needed to get the themes for a chance for Dr. Christian to see if it was a fit with the board, for the board to see if it was a fit with Dr. Christian. We had over 30 candidates. So Dr. Christian's here. 25 other people were in and 25 people passed the original screening. They were in a confidential search process, threw their hat into the ring, and they're now back in their home districts without any harm. No harm was done. And therefore, we had one of the better superintendent candidate pools that I've seen in the last 10 years. I think you only get that, Mr. Sultanic, when there's a degree of confidentiality, when people can explore it without being damaged to their home district. And I had to convince the board of that, because that's very important. I've never had a successful search that wasn't a confidential search. I have done non-confidential searches. Candidate pool is always good. So I thank you for that question. That's a key. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Item 16.1, board request for information. Item 17, motion to adjourn. Motion by Mrs. Barker, seconded by Mr. Stone. Future dates. Future dates are listed. Thank you and good night.